Hello, everyone. My name is Olumide Oworu. I am the Labour Party candidate for the Lagos State House of Assembly, Surulere Constituency 1.
So I'm just going to be brief about a few questions I want to ask. So first is this, in what you said earlier, I said you would be accessible to people, and I think you get to understand power gets intoxicated a lot of times. You can give your promises when you're not there yet, but when it gets there, it feels like a whole lot of different. You're moving from one meeting to the other, and like so. How well do you want to manage your accessibility to your constituent people? That's one. Then two, how do you want to combine your political career with your other careers that movie and that are two-time consuming careers? So how do you want to make a balance? Is it that you're stepping down your movie career for political career, or there would try to be a balance around that? Then three, I think I also wanted to ask, what do you have for your constituency concerning education? So I feel a lot of Surulere people, especially this particular constituency, they like a lot. I mean, if you go to the schools around here, they are bad. They've not been renovated in a very long time. Students are not getting to see what they like in school. So, what plans do you have for the same people too?
All right, thank you very much. In terms of how I want to manage being accessible to the constituents, there are things that you can put in place to make that a lot easier. For example, even if I'm not available physically, there can be a physical office that people can walk into and table their issues and have that sorted out. We can also make it more interactive, so younger people can also want to be a part of the system. So take advantage of, advancements in tech and have, say, like an app, right, where it's interactive, so you can find information about what we're doing in the constituency, plans that we have that are already in place, places that you can complain to, even go as far as even having like, say, like a helpline or a call center where you can call and table your complaints or suggestions or whatever. Just knowing that whatever it is that you put forward there will find a way to my table, and we can address that. Also, if you take a cue from my professional side outside of politics, I've been in the entertainment industry for over 2 decades, and I would like to think that my character suggested that I've been constant in my approach to living and my outlook to life. A lot of my friends have been my friends since childhood. If I was the type to be swayed by being in a position of influence, I think I've done well enough for myself to be in a position where if I wanted to abuse the privilege of being an entertainer or being popular or being a celebrity, in quote, I would already have done that. So I think how I've been outside suggests that I have a good head on my shoulders, and I'm not the type to abuse power. Yes, I've never been in a political position, and I understand the enormity of the power that comes with that, but I do think that there's certain cues you can take as a constant from how my life has been in real time to just suggest that I'm not the type to be persuaded or influenced into doing anything that I don't want to do. I would like to think that I've tried my best to be as positive of a role model as I can be in real time. So I'm hoping that answers your question. And for the second question, if I'm not mistaken, that was if I'm going to be dropping my film career for politics. Honest truth, right now, politics is the priority, because if I do get elected into office, I need to hit the ground running. There's a lot that needs to be done in the immediate. But at the end of the day, film, media, entertainment is my first love. So even if I'm not functioning in the capacity of, an actor, the beauty of it is there's growth. So I can transcend and perform in other capacities. I can produce, I can write, I can even, be like a consultant and just be a part of existing film projects, not on a full-term basis, and still get to be a part of the system in entertainment in some shape or form. Also, by virtue of being in political office, I can also help to push the agenda of helping Nollywood grow, because Nollywood hasn't even really had a lot of government backing. A lot of people have invested their personal funds. People have sold their family properties, cars, just to put Nollywood on the level that it is today. So imagine if Nollywood had a little more help in terms of just funding or exposure or access to equipment or a film village. These are things that we can start to implement in our own little way, and that can also be my way of still being in politics but giving back to the industry as well. So there will never be a time where I would 100% not have anything to do with media and entertainment or acting. But at the end of the day, right now, the priority is politics, is government work, and that is where I want to channel 100% of myself into at the moment. For your third question, that was on schools. Now, if you look at, I'm somebody who is a product of quality education and good exposure. So I understand that the education that you get goes a long way to shaping how you are as an individual. So one of the things that I want to do as well is, as we're building physical infrastructure, there's a lot of mental infrastructure that I'm going to want us to work on. There's a lot we need to do in terms of how people view themselves, how they view their roles to society, and really just how they view what it means to be Nigerian. There are a lot of core values that are not being taught in schools that we can definitely implement. There's a lot of Nigerian history that is not being taught in schools at all. I mean, 93% of everything I know about Nigerian history so far, I had to find out on my own. But then again, how many people realistically and honestly have access to, the type of infrastructure that I had access to in terms of access to information? Yes, it's a little easier now because, we have the internet, and internet is your friend, but there's so much we can do mentally for people in schools just so they have more value for themselves. And once you start to catch them young and help them see value in themselves and how they relate with other people, you also at the same time will cut down on a lot of like the ethnic and religious differences that we have, because a lot of these things are down to conditioning. And conditioning can be positive and it can be negative. So it really just depends on what we want to do with it. So in terms of increasing the standard, the quality of education that is available in Surulere, definitely on the agenda. Increasing the welfare of the teachers as well, because you need to make sure that the teachers are comfortable. If the teachers are comfortable, their output increases, their zeal to work increases, they're more friendly with the kids that they're teaching as well. So whether it's primary level or, students in secondary school, even the way students dress to school in the morning, if you have them thinking the right way, they'll be more excited to go to school. Their dressing, just the mannerisms and really what it means to be a positive member of society are things that we definitely are going to work on. So education for me is very, very high on the agenda, because I believe that there's a lot that we can do, especially in the minds of the young individuals in Surulere. And if we can get it right, it'll only help to improve the quality of lives that we have moving forward in terms of how we view each other and our interpersonal relationships. So yeah, education is definitely key.
What do you understand by the role as our state in our state legislature, and what do you plan to achieve?
My understanding of what it means to be a State House of Assembly member is that you are a representative of the people, is that you are the mouthpiece of the people in your constituency, and it is your job to find creative and persuasive ways to push agendas, lobby, and push for bills that increase the standard of living for your constituents and for the state in general.
So I'm going to try to keep this very brief. So looking at things on the larger scale, the current generation in power, there are at least two generations in front of us before them. Mm-hmm. And those two generations were promised that, quote unquote, they were the leaders of tomorrow. Mm-hmm. So my question is, what are your intentions towards, or rather, how do you intend to make it smooth for the next Olumide Oworu that comes up and says, okay, I want to make a difference, I want to run for office and stuff like that?
Right. The easiest way I can do that, to be honest, is really by being effective. And when I say being effective, it's by going to office and actually working. There's a lot of spotlight on me right now and on this position, and a lot of opportunities for young people is riding on my effectiveness. Now they'll say, hey, you're not too young to run. Oh yeah, now we've given them a chance and fellow youth have voted him in and he did nothing. So as you can see, the young ones are not ready. And that affects whatever opportunity come around in the next 4 years. So I understand the enormity of the task ahead, not just for myself, but what I represent for a lot of young people across board. And I know if I go in there and do as best as I possibly can, apply myself 100%, be open, be honest, carry everybody along, people will see that it's not really down to just age, and it's down to capacity, and that increases opportunities for other young people to not just believe, but to over time equip themselves to be ready to be in positions that matter and to run for these positions and have their credibility be viable enough for them to actually go in and do the work. So long story short, I cannot afford to mess up if I get elected into office.
We've had someone there for 8 years, and from a different party, right? What do you think that you would do differently?
The first thing I would do differently from the person who's been in office for the last 8 years is to be more accessible, to bring the position of the representative back to the people, to have the people be a part of the system, have periodic interactions where everybody is a part of the system. Also to represent Surulere a lot better. Surulere needs proper representation and a good ambassador for what Surulere represents. That is what I will do differently.
Hey, my question will go this way. We're in Surulere. Surulere is center of sports. I think sport has been the best shot of Surulere. And the youth in Surulere have actually focused their life in sport. And I take sport as a way of eradicating poverty. So what do you want to do in terms of eradicating poverty with sports?
So in terms of using sports to deal with the issue of eradicating poverty, there are lots of talented individuals in Surulere. I mean, you go to just on a Saturday morning, just wake up early. The whole Surulere is doing sports. Everybody's fit in Surulere. So many different sports. I mean, basketball is a big sport. I think if all sports, basketball, swimming, football. In fact, we even have like a new generation of sports people in Surulere that do like the X Games, like the tricks, with the bicycles and the roller blades and the roller skates and things like that. So what we can do is really just help to, for example, give them more exposure. So involve, corporate bodies, involve, foreign bodies, club sides, and set up processes in which people can get scouted. Set up ways in which we can integrate all these individuals into the state sports level and, I mean, the national sports level as well, to start representing the country in international competitions, where I believe that we have the talents and the capacity to do very well. We can even be dominating a lot. I see no reason why Nigeria is not even dominating water sports, internationally. But there definitely is things that we can do in terms of increasing the love that people even have to come out and watch sports, because that's another form of revenue generation in terms of people coming out to, for example, pay attendance fees to watch a football match at the stadium. Surulere used to be that. I mean, you look at the 70s, 80s, Teslim Balogun National Stadium. People used to come and watch football games every Sunday. I mean, my uncle used to tell me how they used to go and watch, club side games at the National Stadium, and it was a big deal. Full stadium, everything. So we need to get people's enthusiasm of sports back on that level, where you even have people wanting to, buy merchandise related to, club sides or sports sides. And once we can integrate that into the system and really get as many people as we can noticed and scouted, and even maybe find a way to help with their trainings as well, because a lot of them are funding themselves. So have a system where you take some of that burden off them, even give them allowances to come and train. Why not? These are things that if we look deep into the system, we can't find ways around. But sports is definitely one of the things that Surulere is known for. And we really just need to start representing Surulere the right way. So talking about even food, Surulere has some of the best food spots that can even help to aid tourism to the point that people come into Nigeria and they want to go to Surulere because I've heard so much about Surulere, or I've heard about the Amala in Surulere, I've heard about the Suya in Surulere. There's so many things that we can do, and it just helps, that I studied advertising, so we can definitely work on Surulere's PR as well. But again, there's so much potential in Surulere, with sports and entertainment, and there's so many young people in Surulere even starting, tech startups as well. So there's so much potential. I'm really excited with what we can do if we do get elected into office. Possibilities are endless, and there's so many demographics that we can care for.
I'm sure you're aware of certain projects that have been started by this current administration. Are there any of these projects that you have seen and you agree with, and you feel like you are going to continue / make improvements, make better?
My problem with a lot of the existing projects is really just down to implementation. I believe there's more modifications that we can add to a lot of these processes. We need to start having more measurable outcomes. We need to be able to track whether or not we're making progress and whether or not these projects are actually of benefit to the people in the society. So that's really what I want to focus on, just making sure that whatever we're doing is people focused and people are actually benefiting from what we're doing. And we can have timelines as well where we can track our progress and also be accountable within the timelines that we say we'll deliver.
Thank you, Mr. Olumide Oworu. I was watching a video of a tweet today, and in that tweet, I saw that some of your entourage, they were attacked by hoodlums, or will I say thugs. And in Surulere, there seemed to be a history of thugs on the streets, and the way I see it is either due to lack of jobs or lack of what to do. And being someone that by the grace of God we pray you get to this place, this office, how do you intend to deal with thuggery vis-a-vis engaging these people so that they'll be useful to themselves, useful to the society? Because I know that the youth is the strength of a society, and obviously there's a lot of energy but channeled in the wrong direction. How do you intend to either rehabilitate them or make them feel useful to themselves? Thank you.
So in terms of the, as they say, Agway Rules or touts, I personally don't like to refer to them like that. I think they really are just victims of circumstance. I believe that a lot of the situations that they have found themselves in is because of the way the political system in Lagos has been run. I think it functions to keep those individuals in those positions like that on purpose, so they can be used as, in quote, manpower or brute force to, keep the rest of the population in check, and that by extension keeps, the ruling class in power. So I believe that the moment we start having more accountable leaders in the system, that'll change the way the system is being run, and that'll ease some of the pressures that we have that have already been put in place in terms of keeping these individuals in the situations that they have found themselves in. That being said, there is a lot that we can do to rehabilitate them. I stress on mental infrastructure a lot because, again, it's really just down to conditioning. If you spend time dialoguing with some of these individuals, you realize that they have hopes and dreams and aspirations as well. Some of them even went all the way to graduating from, higher levels of education, even after secondary school. So at some point they had hopes, they had dreams, they had things they wanted to do, but the system in place really wasn't one that was meant for them to flourish or to grow. So we need to approach this two-pronged. As we're working on their mentality, how they see themselves, then we find things for them to do, whether it's, creating human capital development for them through vocational trainings, whether it's encouraging any natural talents like sports or arts, whether it is incorporating them into government parastatals, or even, for example, the film industry, which is one of the highest employers of labor. And there's so many things that we can do as opportunities for them in that industry, in front and in the camera. There's a lot of these guys who have natural talents as well. So there are a lot of opportunities that we have in terms of working with them, but we also need to work on their mindset as well, and also have more positive role models around, so that they can see people that pass through Surulere, so they can see other people that are from similar circumstances or backgrounds that went on to defy the odds and actually make something of themselves and for themselves. So I think as we do that, in terms of rehabilitating these individuals and also working on the mindsets and also changing the way the government system is run, have it be more people focused, more open, more transparent, working on programs that aid community development, community building, have us interact more, exchange ideas, and understand that our differences do not have to be a problem. Our differences can be a positive that we can draw from, because I dare say there's no other country in the world that is as diverse as Nigeria. So you will have, differences along certain lines, but there's a way to pass on your message irrespective of differences without coming off as insensitive. So there's definitely a lot that we can do, but I think the key really is just having the right people in government. Once you have the right people in the system, it kind of trickles down in terms of how the system is run, and then you have stricter sanctions as well for people that step out of line. When people know if you act a certain type of way, there are repercussions, and there are sanctions to face. It will deter people a lot more to act in a better type of way, as opposed to knowing that they have government backing or they have sponsors and all they have to do is make one phone call and they're off the hook, or that government parastatals or the police will do nothing. So I think the key really is just fixing the system. Once we fix the system by having the right people in the system, everything else will sort itself out.
Okay, thank you. I still have two questions. I will still on watching what I saw on Twitter.
Simple, short question. What do you have for women in Surulere? What do you have in store for them? What do you believe that they are lacking right now, and how do you feel like you can improve on their lives?
In terms of what I have for women, I think the demography of women have a very similar problem to what young people have across board, and that is just opportunities. So we need to find a way to just include more women at different levels of government, include more women at different levels, in terms of maybe corporate opportunities being given, and really just start to judge based on qualifications and capacity and outputs. We need to start to look at individuals based on what they're bringing to the table and how efficient they are. And if there are women who can function in a capacity and be as efficient, if not in some cases more efficient than their male counterparts, then they deserve to be on the same level, whether it's via, equal pay, or even in terms of opportunities, in terms of upper tier positions, in terms of promotions and things like that, or encouraging startups. We need to just find a way to really just have a system that works with people based on what they're bringing to the table and the value that they have. So we need to be able to remove the sexist agendas that might be going around, and hire women and pay women based on what they're bringing to the table, and not look down on them, because at the end of the day, they are as efficient, if not sometimes more efficient, than their male counterparts.
I remember I saw clips in which your posters were being torn.
Mm-hmm.
And on that clips, one person was saying, let us see, can they come and do this in Lagos and that? How do you intend to work on people's psyche in terms of making them feel that it is not more about maybe tribalistic sentiments, it's about capacity? Because a lot of people seem to think that it is about where someone is from. That is one. Then knowing that a person in such positions that you vie for will be interested in enacting laws, how do you intend for Surulere constituency enact laws that will help improve the healthcare affordability of healthcare for either the health centers or hospitals for your constituent in Surulere, such that the clinics can be affordable to those that live in Surulere. Thank you.
Right. So, as regards the first question, I believe that the reason why we're having issues in terms of anybody's tribal, anybody's background, as regards whether or not they're good enough to be in office, is because of the agenda that the current disposition is pushing. A lot of these mindsets have been conditioned to the rest of the population in terms of trying to strike a difference between us in terms of ethnic differences or religious differences, and that really shouldn't be the case. At the end of the day, it really should be based on what the person is bringing to the table. You need leaders, with capacity, leaders who know what it takes to lead, who have the vision to take those tough decisions and really be people centered and people focused and really want the best for whoever it is that they're leading. So we really need to look at the individual, break down the individual based on character, based on capacity, based on potential, based on outlook, and really base whether somebody is qualified enough for office off of that. If we're looking at qualifications based solely on where you're from, that's not going to get us anywhere. I think that's only going to slow down, the rate of our growth and development. And as regards healthcare, there definitely are ways that we can help to ease some of the difficulties when it comes to the healthcare sector. There's people right now who are in hospitals because they cannot afford to pay 2,000 naira, to get discharged, or they cannot afford, basic medication, or even afford, the tests that they need to run in order to even get a diagnosis. So beyond just providing, proper better equipment for healthcare institutions, we can also ease some of the burdens in terms of providing affordable health insurance for the average Nigerian, for the average person in Surulere, and really just subsidizing as many payments, especially for people that actually need these services. But that is one of the things that we would have to be working with the social services as well, to be able to determine the individuals that actually need this help. And then once we identify people that actually need the help, we find ways to really help them get the best possible health care that they can. So that way people don't even need to travel to, be getting checkups or to be getting treated for whatever health ailments that they might be having.
Okay, another question. What is your opinion on young people in politics? And can you tell us some of the obstacles that you have faced so far in this journey?
When it comes to young people in politics, if we're being honest, if you look at, the political landscape in Nigeria now, there's not that many players that are actually youths. We don't have as many young people in the system. And that, I would say, is as a result of existing parties not necessarily giving opportunities to young people. But you can also say that before now, a lot of us were not as, politically hungry or politically aware or even wanting to be a part of the system. So I would say we're in a very pivotal time in terms of the direction that Nigeria is going to go from now. And I believe that the young people that make up 70% of the population should have a say in the policies that are being put in place now that would have a direct effect on our future. So I think that we don't have as many young people in politics, and we need more. And some of the challenges that I faced is a lot of people say I'm young and I have no political experience. But at the end of the day, how can you have political experience if you haven't been in a political system? Everybody that's in a situation now that you say they have experience politically started with no experience and built on the experience that they had in other capacities outside of politics. So how can you then say I have no experience when you can look at my track record outside of politics and see how excellent that's looking, and not attribute that I have what it takes in terms of working with a team and the capacity I've shown in problem solving to actually have a shot in politics? So I think that's the problem that we're facing as young people, is people just not wanting to give us a chance because of our age. But at the end of the day, the world is moving forward. Times are very different. And as young people, I believe that we do have a more efficient approach to problem solving. We look for easier, faster ways, more cost-effective ways to get things done. So at the end of the day, we deserve to be a part of the system and have a say in our own future. Some people are already living in their own future. So let us have a say in our own future.
Well, that question goes this way. I remember back in the early 90s where we have the beds, the Surulere of the golden ship back then. We have less drug, no cultism. So, but recently, the whole thing's going up around the corner now. We have a lot of drug guys, drug that doesn't add drugs and cultism. How do you intend to take out of the street? How do you, because drug has actually done a lot of damages to the youth out there. So how do you eradicate this drug abuse and the cultism in Surulere? Thank you.
So at the end of the day, my role, in the State House of Assembly is more legislative. There's not that many executive functions that I'll be carrying out in my capacity, but beyond what we can do for ourselves in terms of constituency projects, there definitely are bills that I can push to that effect in terms of rehabilitation of people that are already in that unfortunate issue of drug addiction, and stronger sanctions in terms of just drug control, substance control, because again, how are these things getting into our society, and what are we doing about individuals that might be pushing this thing, or in terms of the quantities that are found in people, what are the sanctions? We need to be a lot stricter with the sanctions that we're passing, because I believe that would help to deter a lot of people that might be going into that line. But in terms of people that are already addicted to drugs, it's definitely rehabilitation. But again, a lot of that it's hard to rehabilitate somebody in that situation that doesn't really want your help, because again, drugs really mess with your psyche, and that's a lot of work that we're going to need to do with a lot of our social workers. But I do believe that with the right team and with the right brainstorming and right ideas, and the fact that I want to run a system where everybody's a part of the process, with youth groups, influential leaders in the community, things like that, we will definitely find a way to really, as best as we can, tackle the drug issue and eradicate to the best level that we can the amount of drugs that are circulating in the Surulere community. So yes, thank you very much. I hope this session has been as enlightening and as fun as it has been for me. My name is Olumide Oworu. I am the Labour Party candidate for the Lagos State House of Assembly, Surulere Constituency 1. And I want to urge you to come out on Saturday, the 18th of March, to exercise your civic right to vote. I can guarantee personally that the Labour Party is doing everything that we possibly can to make sure that security is in place, to make sure that all the people that will be coming out to vote on the day will be safe. Your well-being is top on our priority list, and everybody, by the special grace of God, of course, will be fine as well. So please come out, cast your votes. By not voting, you are also having a say on who you're allowing to be your leaders and who you're allowing to be your representatives. So we need to be very hands-on in our approach. This is a very historic moment that we're in now. It's very pivotal in terms of the direction that Nigeria is going to be going in terms of our future. So vote Labour Party top to bottom, vote GRV for governor, vote me for Lagos State House of Assembly, Surulere Constituency 1, and for every other Labour Party candidate that's running for House of Assembly. And with your help and together, with teamwork, we can definitely make the dream work. So vote Labour Party from top to bottom. LP, Papa, Mama, Pikin.